Panie profesorze, zapraszam do wygłoszenia wykładu inauguracyjnego. Bardzo proszę.
Dear students, dear guests, esteemed colleagues, honorable ministers, excellencies, and university leaders. Of course, it's an honor to be here and share a little bit of your nice inauguration for the new semester. And it's even a bigger honor to tell you my ideas on transformation. Societies need to transform. They can transform voluntarily or they can transform by force. I prefer to do it voluntarily. That's why we developed strategies which we are applying all over the world for transformation. And my job right now will be to tell you a little bit about the place where I'm coming from, because it's a place of transformation, a transformed place, and a little bit about the work coming from this place, which might give you new ideas on the idea of transformation. The title I choose is Transformation Towards a Carbon Neutral Society, because climate protection is the big issue, what we all have, but there are many other small issues we also have. And then net zero is a business case. You all think, or maybe you all think, sustainability, climate protection is something you cannot afford because it's too expensive. This is definitely not correct. Doing it properly, it can be a green business. And business we all need for our societies, for paying taxes, for having jobs, for having opportunity to create a career, job career, academic career. Let me share a few. Global warming. I went to Dubai 2 years ago to the COP and tried to listen to politicians talking about how to solve global warming problems, and I came back totally disappointed. From an academic point of view, from the evidence of science, there is no solution to the global warming problem. And the IPCC, what you have on the left side of my slide, is explicitly explaining this. The upper lines is what policy is aiming at, and the lower lines is what we need to do. And in between, we have work to do. There is a problem in between. That's why we all need to come up with new ideas. Second is we have an ecosystem problem. We are still eating up our ecosystems everywhere in the world, in Poland, in Germany, in South America and Africa, in China, everywhere. We have a biodiversity crisis. I don't know how big it is in Poland. In Germany, we are losing 70% of our insects. You could ask me, why do we need insects? Well, birds eat insects. No birds, no insects, no singing birds, and so on, no pollination. You all know this. And we all share this problem in Europe, a huge migration crisis, getting bigger and bigger because of ecosystem destruction, warming, global warming production issues, and economic issues. And we have to somehow come up with solutions for this. The global warming issue is an interesting issue because there's a lot of money behind. So if you have a proper idea on tackling this issue, there can be a nice revenue coming to your company, to your city, to university. Two parts of global warming strategies. One is the blue part, don't emit. Don't emit does not work. As I just told you, IPCC explains it. We cannot get rid of CO2 emissions quick enough. We're even buying Russian oil and gas. It's fossil and it's not really compliant, as we all understand, so we're still buying it. The green part is catching CO2 from the atmosphere, not emitting and making the atmosphere cleaner. And catching CO2 is also interesting business because you have a lot of technologies, low-tech, high technologies, to catch CO2, store it, remove it from the atmosphere. The other big problem we have is that we are all sharing one environment, and we all are not aware how much damage we create to this environment. You all in this room, including me, we are not aware what we are doing with our daily metabolism. So we're sitting there, we're eating, we're consuming, we're driving, we're reproducing, while the system is getting smaller and smaller. If you go to Africa, if you go to South America, China, you can see this already getting smaller. People are dying. Animals, plants are extinct, gone. So this is not theory, this is happening while I'm speaking here. Well, what can we do? The idea of the European Commission and many countries in Europe and in China and in Japan and in Taiwan is changing our economy. From linear to circular means trying to reuse, to recycle, to save, to be efficient, to be effective. Securing resources and things, creating development and welfare opportunities. We all need this. Enhance science and technology, because we need universities to do circular economy, because there are a lot of things we need to invent, to reinvent, to rethink. Of course, also have to reduce carbon emissions and our ecological footprint. So investing in ecosystems. Let me highlight, investing in ecosystems, not paying money for protection. This is not investing. Investing means I put €1 or a zloty in the system, I get 2 zlotys back. And the system is getting better. I think we all agree this is what would be a kind of sustainable way of dealing with our ecosystems. So investing instead of spending. The footprint is too big. We have to make it smaller. Most people think making the footprint smaller means sacrificing. That's why they are not with us. They don't vote for us, they don't give us money, they make problems. If we can explain to those people that having a smaller footprint gives them more value, better food, better living conditions, more security, more resilience, then they will be with us. They will give us money. The mayor will give us money, the minister will give us money, because they see there is a value in this investment. And there's a lot of evidence that this is possible. The circularity gap, which was done by the European Union, shows that if we increase circularity, means circling of materials, we could create a lot of new jobs, save a lot of money, save a lot of pollution. But the European Union, we all know, sometimes they're a little bit more ideological and not so much scientifical, not so much economical. That's why I will show you later on a study from McKinsey. McKinsey, this is people who normally deal with money, and they have a similar idea like the European Commission. This will come a little bit later. Let me first give you an idea about the place where I'm coming from, because what I'm telling you is not theory. I live in a system which is carbon neutral, and my institute, which I founded 25 years ago, is totally funded, €6 million a year, by doing sustainable projects all over the world. So the place is an environmental campus, Birkenfeld. It's in the western part of Germany, close to Luxembourg, Belgium, France. It's the middle of nowhere. Other people would say it's a nice environment. And in this place, our government established a green campus. And it was before a disaster place, spoiled by the American army, and after we assumed that the Russians will never come, which turned it into a university. Some people say it was too early. Now it's a very nice green university, #1 in Germany, #6 in the world by a green metric ranking, which I will explain a little bit later to you in detail. Why are we #1? We have 100% renewable energies. Since 25 years, all our electricity, heat and cold we take from our neighbors, from our region, from our government, from our farmers, from our companies. Their waste we take and turn it into an energy resource. It's a win-win-win situation. We also collect all our rainwater. 25 years ago, it was a fancy idea because everybody thought that Germany, 700 millimeter rain, there will be never a water shortage. But you know today, my colleagues know, water is becoming an issue. And we have been collecting water for 25 years. Collecting and using it. That's why we are rated every year #1 in Germany and #3 and 6 in the world. It depends a little bit on our competition. The green metric ranking is actually dealing with waste, transport, energy, education, and nature protection. And in all these categories, you have to submit what you're doing, and then you're rated and ranked. There are 1,400 universities taking part every year. A few examples, just a few, it would be your own lecture, don't have the time for this to do. We are building Energy Plus buildings. Our new assembly hall is an Energy Plus building. Throughout the year, we're producing more kilowatt hours of energy than we consume. So it's actually a power plant somehow. We do it because we have a smart building and we added some renewable energies. Smart building, you also have this installation, this education here, like air handling units, top-notch air handling units, a big insulation, intelligent electric drives, and so on. Heat recovery, of course. Then you get very easily an Energy Plus building. We use the waste biomass of our region, landscape biomass, then the organic household waste from our county to produce electricity. This we give to the university and give it to the bigger market. The excess heat from this production, from this generation, we use as heat or cold through a heat pipeline which is connected to our university. For water, our buildings collect water, they store water, so we are adapted to the global climate change. We have no water issues. We are not buying water from the tap, which is saving a lot of money. And we are not giving water to the rivers, which also saves money. So today, this water saving is, for the university, really money saver. Aside from being global warming adaptation, and aside from being ecological, because to collect water in a smart way, you have to build little ponds and ecosystems which create refuge for animals and plants. We are also not using water for flushing toilets. I know it's before lunch, so nobody wants to talk about urine. But not flushing means not having wastewater so much. Not flushing means saving a lot of money. Not flushing means you can use urine as a resource. What is urine? Urine is nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, which you are importing in Poland. We're also importing it. And from where? From Russia. That's why it's good to think about your own urine. We have been doing this for 15 years now. It took me 2 years to convince my university to not use conventional flushing systems. It was so in their brain that we need to flush with water. They always have been flushing. I said, yes, you always have been stupid. Stop flushing, save money, start to be a circular economy university. Now we have been doing it for 15 years and nobody's even questioning anymore. We put always the economy to this. Payback of 5 years and you're saving net. If you have a new building, the payback is 4 months. 4 months. Yeah. That's why even in local governments, in ministries, public buildings, big companies, this is a money maker. And it's saving the climate, and creating resources. If you collect urine, there are companies that are purchasing it from you to turn it into fertilizer. You only have to have enough of it to make a business. So the economy already starts. Companies, startups are positioning themselves to be part of this new intelligence in the metabolism of our urban systems. The problem is we have to work together. It's no longer linear. You cannot do it alone. You must look left and right. Yeah? Involve more partners. We only can have energy and heat from non-fossil sources because our farmers and our government, local government, is working with our university. They must have a system built to work together. Yeah, my institute is 80 people, 25 years old next year. We are deeply rooted in this idea that systems are not allocating resources properly. University is a system. Białystok as a city is a system. Poland is a system. And you always can find a lot of inefficiencies which lead to pollution and the waste of money. And tracing this and making proposals based on science and technology, you can come up with investments in improvement which puts you in a better position, a higher resilience, and saves money. This is the basic story. It's not my invention. It's actually from the 19th century. There was a very famous guy, by chance it was a German, sorry for this, from our neighboring mountain range, Mr. Raiffeisen. He's the founder of the cooperative movement. He said something very important. He said, the money of the village for the village, the money of the city for the city. And if you think about the money flow, so how to purchase things, who is benefiting from your activity, economic activities? And then you can change the way you behave economically. Adding value, philosophy for my institute by not having waste. Waste is the resource. Not treating it properly is a waste of resources. It's a management failure. Zero wastewater. Technically possible, economically interesting. 100% renewables, I think it's a no-brainer. It's easily done. Making it possible for poor people to be part of the transformation. Participatory finance. Rich people can always be part of a change. But in a democracy, you need to have 51% of the population to do your transformation. So we need to invite other people to be part of our change. Low-income households. So we have to develop systems how they can be part of these new investment opportunities. And then the optimization of all those material flows, water, energy, food, mobility, which are right now linear and inefficient. But there's a lot of, not so much, but a lot of theory about this, like the Cradle to Cradle book telling us it's not about being efficient. You can do the most stupid things very efficient. It's about effectiveness. Do I have the effect which I want to have? Yeah. And being effective means you really have to think your activity from the start to the end. Yeah, and the material flow management, which is my professorship. There are 2 professors in Germany doing material flow management. I'm the applied one. This means you can be a very good scientist, knowing details in a very, very high manner. But at the end, the amount of problems will actually kill you if you don't think about how all these elements work together and impact you. This is what this scientist here means by saying, hey, beware of the material flow. You must all work together. You must be interdisciplinary, including the economists, which is not always easy, but the economists, at the end of the day, they make our projects possible by allocating money. The basic work of my institute is shown in this little slide. On the left side, you have a normal system. We're importing resources. we're doing something with this, normally 30% efficiency, and we throw a lot of things away, including money. And we are ignoring the potentials of the system, the potentials in materials, in energy, and in people. This leads to inefficient societies, to pollution. What we are doing, have been doing for 25 years, is we show this non-use of potentials. Why are you not using this? You see how much money you're losing by not doing this. If you change with these technologies, these strategies, you need too much investment and you have so much money coming back. That's what we call material flow management. So why is not everybody doing it? Because the systems don't want to hear this. No mayor wants to hear that his administration is not efficient. No company boss wants to hear that his company is burning money. No university director wants to hear that he could have much less energy costs. They don't want to hear it. So you need a very nice communication strategy, soft, to motivate the stakeholders to work with you on this. At the end, it's about system optimization. You can optimize a company, you see this. You can optimize two companies, they can exchange flows, and you can optimize all the companies in a region, together with the people, the government, the farmers. We call it regional material flow management. And there's a lot of money to be made by really connecting people with regard to their material flows. Farmers can produce energy for villages or for companies. Companies can use the excess heat for heating whole heating systems of villages. So what kind of strategies can we derive from this basic idea that material flows are not optimized in our societies? Many examples. I think you all, if you go home to your private houses or your companies or your city office, you will immediately see a lot of inefficiencies. If you start thinking like this. One is, of course, the circular economy idea, which is policy in Europe, which demands us to stop thinking in linear ways. Linearity is human-made. Nature systems don't know linearity. Everything is circular. So the idea is to break away from this linear take, make, dispose. Go into closed-loop economies. Design out waste. Build resilience by diversity. Work towards using renewable energies. System thinking, which is difficult. I always tell my colleagues that in their lectures they should try to think in systems and in cascades. And then suddenly new options and opportunities arise. So everybody is talking about circularity, a lot of things in the internet, but nobody is talking about the economy. It's circular economy. Circular, everybody knows. But economy? Net present value, CAPEX, OPEX, payback periods. If you don't add this to circularity, there is no economy. And if there's no economy, there is no circular economy. Just to give you one theoretical example, I will give you a practical example shortly after this. You see CO2 emission pathway of a company. The company is growing, a very well-doing company, so they have increasing CO2 emissions, despite their efforts to reduce them. But because they are growing, they have more emissions. If you go into the system, work with the people in the production hall, you can develop a second pathway, the lower one. Yeah. The lower pathway, which is much more investment, but creates a nice revenue and a really decarbonization. We are the main consultants of the KfW. KfW is the biggest development bank in the world. Why are we customers of a bank? Because the bank realizes if we tell the company to invest in decarbonization on a business case, they can lend them more money. And the company will be a better client, because with this investment, they reduce their costs. So it's a win-win situation between bank and company. And we are the go-in-between. We show the bank and the company what they can do. We call it a business support service or resource efficiency checks, what we connect to assessment of the company, coaching program, and so on and so on. We're doing it all over the world. Big agricultural companies have a huge amount of energy demand, amount of water demand, they have not much biomass waste, and they're just disposing of all of this. They are not using it because they don't have time, they don't know, and so on and so on. So we can show them how to invest, how to save carbon, reduce carbon, and make money. I think we all agree, if global climate protection creates money for us, we are all on the ticket. Even the poorer countries in Europe will be on the ticket. And we need them all. This white, hairless scientist, who looks like me, is telling an audience about the big existence danger of global warming. And you see what the audience is doing? They are sleeping. Because they have been hearing it for 20 years now. The world will die, the animals will die, the plants will die, you all will die. Okay, good, then we die. Then he changes the story. Say, forget about you all die, you will lose money. Ooh. Suddenly they are really motivated. I hate this idea as a scientist. But it's the reality in our world. Money makes the show. If we don't learn as environmentalists to talk in money terms, people will not listen to us. Stakeholders will not listen to us. That's the message from this picture. And the story is, and I truly believe in, because I've been doing it for 25 years, sustainability, circularity, properly made, is the better economy. And now McKinsey comes. There's a net zero Germany study for McKinsey clearly saying if Germany invests in being carbon neutral, something like 6 trillion euro. I'm no longer shocked by big numbers. 6 trillion euro, this would lead to a revenue which is above 6 trillion euro investment. And we would decarbonize. And decarbonize means new companies, new engineering service, new technology invention. So this would be a reinvention of Germany, what we need right now. Big competition all over the world, the Chinese making our life not easier, so we have to reinvent ourselves. And climate protection could be the opportunity to do this. Investing means knowing where to invest. Here you see 6 fields in companies where we have a huge potential. In Germany, in Europe, everywhere in the world, where we go into companies, we have this potential and even more. If you look at this, it's a low-hanging fruit picture. Solar energy on rooftop of a company. The red part is immediately to be done potential investment. If not, you are entirely economically stupid. And then you have the higher hanging fruits and the high hanging fruits, but all are investments. The last investment is a little bit more complicated. This you find when you go to a company and you really work with the people on site. Or pumping. You know, 70% of worldwide energy demand goes for pumping, electricity demand. They pump everything. So pumping is the issue. And we all pump with stupid pumps, with not properly dimensioned pumps. And if you go to companies and you check all the pumps, recommendation to the students, you can make a nice business by proposing a kind of 50-50 system. They don't pay you, but you get 50% of the revenue of the savings. 10 companies and you don't have to work anymore. Really interesting, pumping. And we always put the paybacks. I aligned it with red. A payback of 4.5, 4.2 years is not really charming, but it's still in the frame of being interesting for a company. So there is an economy behind this. Company can save money by reducing energy demand and by having better pumps. Or insulation of boilers. We have a heat camera. We go to companies and tell, look, this boiler with this yellow color costs you 10,000 euro a year. Insulation I can do with students easily. You save money and then you are payback of maybe 2 years. Then you save the next 30 years with this boiler. And we have many boilers in our companies and in our communities. Illumination, LED lighting, proper LED lights and properly positioned is a very nice payback, normally under 3 years. Photovoltaic potentials, mapping potentials and creating new energy potentials from PV is one thing, but the second thing is, and now it's getting interesting for our academic fields and for the students, to inject this new solar energy into the operation mode of the company. Now, to create load curves and to add the solar energy load curves, this is the big business to be made, and it's the situation where solar energy gets interesting for the companies. Green roofs, roofs collecting water. We need for the global climate adaptation. But if we combine with solar energy, then the solar PV systems create 6% more electricity because of the cooling effect of the green roof. With this additional money, you can pay for the green roof. There are specialists on green roofs and specialists on solar, but no specialists on solar green roofs. And this is an economic interesting case. Using waste heat from companies. This is a company we did. Company is producing excess heat a lot. It's a melting company, and they use this heat for a district area of a city where they build a new residential area. And this is a real decarbonization pathway. I showed you the theory before. This is a company in Serbia, fast-growing company, sugar beet company, and they had the idea to do the decarbonization like the blue line, and we convinced them to do the lower line because it's much more investment, but it's much more resilience, much more revenues for the company. One international case, Cape Verde, the island state in front of Senegal in Africa. We calculated for them a 100% renewable energy supply. They're totally based on fossil energy, and it's transported by ship and transported by ship to all the 10 small islands. Huge energy costs. To make a long story short, if they go for renewables, then they are immediately cheaper than the fossil supply. Immediately. Without subsidy, without any help, it's just market. The two pillar systems under the two lines show that they're cheaper. Yeah, networking for transformation. I'm here because we started talking to Białystok University a few years ago. We need to exchange our know-how in order to incubate our communities and companies. It must be a network, and I'm also here to invite my colleagues from this university and university leadership to share our circular economy network. I'm not a fan of all these blah blah networks what we have. This is a network which is active. So people in these universities are really working on circularity. And we have conferences every year, and we exchange our ideas. We make web seminars together to get all this know-how from all the intelligent people all over the world into one pool of activity. Circularity network all over the world. I warmly invite my colleagues from Białystok University to be part of it. Every year we have a big conference, Circular Economy Conference in November, where we invite our friends from all over the world. I already invited Anna to this conference, and invitation goes to all our other esteemed colleagues. There we show how circularity works de facto. We go to mayors, we go to companies who did it. and then you come home and you are a believer because secularity at work is so fascinating. Yes, and the conclusion I let be done by somebody much more famous than me, Mr. Mandela, and he said something which I think it's fabulous. It always seems impossible until it's done. Thank you so much.
Dziękujemy panu profesorowi Petrowi Hekowi za wygłoszenie wykładu inauguracyjnego. Thank you.